All right, guys, we are finally live, everybody. It's been this is gonna be good tonight because we've had
Did you
some crazy technical difficulties. I logged into my Facebook page. Everybody's watching. I logged into my Facebook page and it went to my wife's Facebook page. How did it happen? I don't know. Monday we couldn't go live, but we are live tonight. So for those of you who watch, I'm giving everybody time to come in, and then we're gonna get this cracking. We got a great interview for you guys tonight. I know it's gonna be good because it's been some crazy stuff happening trying to get connected. All right. All right. I see some people coming in. All right, guys, we are live finally with a husband's authority tonight. Friday's edition. That's what we're gonna call it. For those of you who came on and missed it on Monday, we had some technical difficulties with Zoom and Facebook trying to get on, but we are on tonight, and we got a great interview for you guys. Got my friends, doctors Eric and Mimi Brown. They are here. We are going to be talking about what it means to be a husband. And for those of you who are watching this for the first time, a husband's authority is a part of Kingdom Relationships. And what we're doing is we're talking about what it means to be a husband. And the reason I'm doing this is because I felt led to do it, because I believe that so many marriages end in divorce because the husband doesn't understand his true role, his true responsibility for the family. And when you go into something not understanding what you're supposed to do and not learning in the process of what you're supposed to do, you fail at it. And I think that's what's happening with a lot of marriages. But tonight we got some great people, and I know it's going to be good because everything that's happened, and I keep saying that, but we got Eric and Mimi Brown on tonight. And guys, I wanted Mimi on because, as you see in my last interviews, I've had the wives on because I love to get it from a wife's perspective because they know us better than anybody else knows us. So they can give that point of view as well. So guys, how are you guys doing tonight?
Excellent.
Fantastic.
Awesome, man. This is man. I was just talking to somebody.
Amazing.
I was just talking to a pastor today, and I was saying, man, having the opportunity to just be with my family every day, 24 hours a day, man, I didn't realize how important and how significant it was, man. So I'm enjoying this time, man. So I don't mind being sequestered or quarantined as long as I got my team.
Yeah. He's told me, I'm gonna tell on him real quick. He sent me a message long ago as if we're in the same house. I'm upstairs, he's downstairs. And he said, I'm feeling mushy and clingy.
Yeah.
I said, well, let me mush and clean then.
I'm just telling people
Hey, we married.
Hey, that's part of marriage. Mush and clean.
Yes. I'm
gonna use that. I know my wife is watching, baby. I feel mushy and clingy.
You hear that, Lakeisha?
But I feel you. This time of quarantine, I believe for marriages, it's an opportunity to get closer, to learn each other more, and you can see. I think it brings out things with you because sometimes you get irritated with each other faster, but then you make up faster. You love each other faster, and it's like you learning. Okay, these little things. Because I know me working from home, my wife working from home. And Caleb is, I'm on one side of the table on my computer. She's on the other side of the table with her computer. And Caleb is like, I want to play. I'm hungry. And it was like, okay, are you going to get him? Are you going to get him? It's your turn. No, but I'm in the middle of email. I want to call. So it's like, and you're like, oh, so it's.
Got to do it, right?
Yeah, it'll do it. But it also, if you're not in the right frame of mind, for what we're talking about tonight, being quarantined like this could really, really take your marriage another way.
Absolutely.
If you're not thinking about it correctly. And just think, my wife mentioned something, trying to think about those women who are in violent relationships. or violent marriages. You know, the way those husbands are thinking. So I hope that one of them are on tonight watching and could learn something from this. But what's your guys' marriage story?
The real version, the truth.
I want the truth, the real version.
I need, because my version is a lot different from his version. So about the man, let me let him tell his version. He right tonight.
Well, I would say this, man. It's, I guess, kind of like I would like kind of like a Hollywood script to me. Kind of like a
let me type that in. Hollywood,
like a fairy tale, or like a because I really believe God set us up.
I agree.
And I remember it vividly, Nate. It was in 1999, and it was in 1999 when I was a young traveling evangelist. I had to go preach in a revival, and after I preached in my revival, I went to preach at a Baptist church. So service was over by 8:30. And then I said, so let's go kiss this Kojic church who was still in. They had just, Kojic, they had just started.
Hey, man, I grew up in Kojic. You can't tell me Kojic like that.
So I told my buddies, I said, look, y'all, I said, we kiss Eden Temple, Church of God in Christ. And so we got that. They had just started. You know how it is. And so and so I went in, man, and the preacher was preaching, and he had and I told the guys who I was with, it was a group of guys. I said, man, listen. I said, we have to travel 2 hours to get back to school because I was in college. And I said, but I promise you, the Lord just told me if I get up, this prophet is gonna call me out and prophesy to me. And so as soon as we sat in the back and I got up to get out, he said, hold up, man of God, you right there. And so he called me up, man, and so everything that we're doing, that I'm living now, he prophesied this 22 years ago.
That's good.
He told me that he said, man of God, he said, when you get back to school, you're going to meet the woman that you're going to spend the rest of your life with. And he said, and you're going to know that she's the one when you see her immediately. He said, it's
right?
this is what he told me. He said, it's going to be in your spirit. You're going to know immediately that's your wife. And he said, and God's going to use your ministry. And he said, you're going to do great ministry in the state of Texas, on the East Coast, South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, on the East Coast. Now, this is before I was in Mississippi. I had never been out of the state of Mississippi. So, and had no idea God was about to transition us to Texas. And so from there, I got back to school. And when I got back to school, 3 days later, I met her. Well, I didn't meet her. I was in Bible studies, and she walked through the door, Nate. And when I was standing on the door on the wall in Bible studies, next to my roommate who's from Birmingham, Alabama, Anthony said, and when she walked through the door, I said, wow, the Holy Spirit just told me that's my wife. I said, that's the woman I'm going to marry. And he was like, do you know her? I said, I've never seen her before. I don't even know her name. I said, but God said, that's my wife. And then so, and I still, and even 2 or 3 weeks after that, I never said anything to her until one day I was walking to the cafeteria, and then she saw me, and one of her that's where it get a little interesting. I'm trying to see what this story is. Leaning a little bit right along here. So when, I was walking to the cafeteria with one of my buddies at the time, and one of a mutual friend who we both know, who's a preacher to this day. He was talking to her, and then he came into, when I was walking past, we spoke to each other. And when I went into the cafeteria, he came into the cafeteria, Prophet Kenneth Thomas, and he said, man, my homegirl Mimi, man, she's digging you. And I said, well, you tell her I'm digging her too, And so from there, when I come out the cafeteria, probably like 4 hours later, she was still waiting.
4 hours later.
Hey, Nate.
You were doing so good.
Hey, Nate. 4 hours.
Oh, you were doing so
Nate,
well.
4 hours later, man, she was still waiting on me, right?
You just had to wait.
Just wait, right? And so when I come out the cafeteria,
I have found the lie.
And so when I come out the cafeteria, she said, This was she said, "Come here."
Yeah.
She said, "Come here." So I went to talk to her, and she was like, "Hey, what's going?" We talked, and she's like, "Hey, you got a car?" I'm like, "I'm the preacher now," but I lied a little bit. I said, "Yeah, I got a car, but I don't have a car." And so I don't have a car, but I told her I had a car because she said come pick her up. So I went to the dorm room, knocking on everybody's door, trying to find a car. I was like strange. I said, "Man, I know you don't know, but can I borrow your car?" And they were like, "No, man." So, and I found one guy named Jason from Birmingham, Alabama. Jason said, "Yeah, Eric, you can use my car, bring it back whenever you want to." And I called her and said, "Hey, I got a raid for him to come pick you up, man." And that's how the story began. That's how our life began, man. And that night, man, we talked for hours, and we've been talking ever since.
Yeah. I'll let him stick with half of that story.
Yeah.
Well, so let me hear the other half. I know I saw your face. So it went to Siberia around about 4 hour part, the part. So what happened after the part?
I was always a lady. I would never anyone. I was always a lady. No, but to be honest with you, very much a lot of what he said was the truth. But when I made it to Alcorn State University, where I met him, I was looking to run in the opposite direction of anything that was doing right. Yeah. I really was. And just as God was telling him and giving him instructions, I think at the time I was seeking some level of instructions, just not the way he was. And so, but when I tell you, from the day of meeting him, I know my life has totally changed. It has totally changed. I laugh when he say Hollywood script, but it really has been. It has been. Hollywood. It has. I believe we should get paid for this story.
Yeah, I mean, I hope.
Yeah, I do. I mean, it has been, and it's definitely been way more ups than downs. I've been meeting on a college campus and going through that almost together now, almost 20 years. So in ministry, 20, it's like we've been together for quite some time now. So to look back over how it all began and to see the promises that were spoken over his life, and I was the one that the bishop or the pastor at the time saw in his particular vision. I'm just grateful to be able to live this thing out with him. I will say this for the record: I was very interested in what I saw that day. She put emphasis. He caught my eye. It wasn't, he really did catch my eye. He did.
So it's possible you did wait 4 hours. Because, I'll be honest. With your personality, Mimi, I could see you. I can imagine you be like, come here.
You're a man of great insight.
Let me tell you what I did do. I did tell my friend, I said, let him know I'm interested. I did say that was verbatim. I am interested. He had such a interesting walk.
Sexy.
It's an interesting walk.
It was. He had opened his mouth. I'm going to be honest, and I tell people this all the time. It was something about his walk. His walk to me, and I know it's crazy, but it commanded such a presence. He commanded attention. He didn't yell. He wasn't screaming. Nobody was around. It's like he was levitating down the sidewalk. I don't know. I'm like, and since that day, I still have been captivated by that walk.
Mate, that's that anointment. That's that
anointment.
That's that anointment, man.
So let me ask you, Eric, what does being a husband mean to you?
Man, so much, man. I think, well, I would. For me, it's an honor. Yeah. It's an honor when God gives you responsibility of another person. I mean, I don't think people understand how huge that is.
Major.
And then on top of that, give you children. The magnitude of all of this. So for me, it's an honor that God would even consider me to be a husband. For me, it's such a privilege. It's such an honor. I don't take it lightly. It ain't something that I desire to play with or not. Man, it's serious for me. And then just having the fact to just having a woman of God, a woman who is such a great helper and, who has literally accessorized my life and embellished my life on a level that it would have never been without her. So for me, it's such an honor, man, and being able to provide for her and provide for our family. You can attest to this as a man. Though when I see her and I see my children, that's fuel for me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
To provide, you know what I'm saying? I mean, and so as a man, so as a husband, man, it's such a privilege and an honor. And man, I love it. I mean, you know how some guys and some people have horror stories and have bad stories about marriage, and man, I love being married to this woman. I tell her this privately, and I'll say it again publicly. This is the greatest decision I ever made in my life outside of Christ. And I mean, I stand on that, man. I love being a husband.
Man, I feel the same way, man. It's awesome that we can feel like that. We have women that make us feel like that. And guys, before we go any further, everybody's watching. I want to let you know that you can ask questions. So if you have any questions, post your questions in the comment page, and we will ask me and Eric. And they trust me, they will answer your questions for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you have any questions you want to ask them, ask. So Mimi, what's your take on it? What does it mean to be a husband to you from the wife's perspective?
For me, I just had this conversation with him not so long ago. When I look at husband, because I didn't see, many husbands. I think last time we were on, I was on with you, I kind of discussed this. I didn't see many husbands growing up. I didn't see, the male role a lot growing up. But I think for me, the biggest part of it meant leadership. It was leadership. When I think about who he is and what he provides, he always has an answer. And I believe, always has an answer. I don't care for whatever it is. He knows something about everything. But as a wife, now understanding what I believe a role of a husband to be, I believe that a husband should have an answer. I believe that is what that caused a lot of the turmoil in the garden in the first place. Adam didn't have answers.
Didn't have an answer. And what I've seen my husband do, whether it was wrong answers, whether it was questionable answers, he still gave me some level of calm because he was able to provide an answer. And with that, him having an answer, it also adds direction. It provides vision. It provides the thing that I believe a husband also should be, security. Security. If you look back over all of the men in scripture, I ain't gonna say all of the men, but a lot of the great men or patriarchs in scripture, those that did have wives, you see that in providing, that they stood the test of time. They stood in the midst of battle. They stood, whether they had to recover, whatever it was, but they were able to, take their families into, places and directions that were, that they didn't have what came about. I think I was just thinking about David when they came into, what was it, Ziklag and destroyed David came, he had answers. Let me go back and get this. Let me do that. Here, I don't care if it's upside down, left, right, he had answers. So I think for me, just the security of him having answers, an answer for our children, answer for finances, answer for, hey, we're in the middle of this quarantine, baby, we okay. That answer, so, and to hear that, even if I don't know everything that's taking place, for him to be able to provide that for me is what a husband looks like. That is for, having, and I think too, to get back to when I think about Adam had relationship with God. God spoke directly to Adam. I think that when God speaks to him, he speaks to us. My husband often ascends to God and then descends and downloads to his family. And so that, I think that's what allows us to believe in him all the more. And I believe that also, even as a pastor, I think that's one of the great attributes, that because he is that level of husbandman, just like Jesus was, just like God was, just like God is the husbandman. So, hey, I could talk about him all day.
Let her talk.
But just security, like I said, him, that's what a husband looks like to me. I grew up without having a father in the house. we had a man in the house, but not necessarily a father, even though he was married to him, but he couldn't provide answers. I saw uncles, they couldn't provide answers. You have children, provide answers. What are we doing? Are we going to college? Are we getting jobs? You know, is there a savings account? Do we, you know what I mean? All of that.
Yeah.
Answers.
And I think a lot of men. Go ahead.
Let me say to all the viewers on Facebook, can they hear us?
They hear you. Yeah.
All our viewers, can y'all please like this post and share it? Please invite some people to watch it and tune in. Share it to your groups and all of that. But let's get the numbers up high so Nate can get some national TV time too. Amen. Airtime. Let's get Nate out there, all right? Because he's doing a phenomenal job.
Absolutely.
He's doing a phenomenal job. He and his wife Lakeisha, they're doing a phenomenal job. Let's help promote their ministry. Come on, guys, share this video.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. So I was going back. Let me go back first. I was going back to what Mimi was saying about the answers. And I realized that in my own marriage, how my wife, she when I say I want to do something, she always asks me, what's the plan? You know, What's your plan of action? You know, and I know she looks for answers. Okay, what are we going to do about this? How are we going to do this? And my wife is very analytical, and Absolutely. She likes to have the answers question. And when Mimi's saying that, it makes you understand that women, they want to answer, even if we don't have the right answer. If we give them an answer, then they could come back and say, well, I don't think this will work. I don't think this is what you mean. Well, let's try this, let's try that. But I think when we start giving answers, show them that we're at least trying to give an answer or trying to come with a solution, that it can help in a marriage situation. So Eric, what's the best part of being a husband?
Man, I think that's crystallizing moments, creating moments. I mean, man, just being around the house and just being around the house, man. And then, you know, out today, we're just out today while my wife, she's painting, you know, things for the kids' room. And I'm out there with Savvy and Sire while they riding their bikes and you know, just crystallizing moments, man. Just in the house, something unexpectedly happened with Savvy or Sire, and they come in with they're so comical. You know how it is. You have your son and man, just crystallizing moments, being able to do things that they'll always remember. You know, not just being like Dr. Mimi said, a man in the house, but being present while I'm in the house. You know, so they'll know, man, Daddy taught me how to ride a bike. You know, Daddy was there when my son is at school and he has a program, and I'm there. When my daughter has a program, I'm there. You know, just being able to crystallize these moments when they both learned how to swim. I'm there. You know, me and my wife are there at every swim lesson. At karate, when Sire goes to karate, we're both there. He sees me there. Growing up for myself, I was a 5-star athlete, great athlete. Had scholarships to every major university in the country. Could have went anywhere I wanted to go in different sports. However, one thing that discouraged me was on Friday nights and during game time, I would look up in the stands and my parents never were there. Ever. I mean, my father came to one game in my life, and that was my senior night in football. But that's the only time he ever saw me play. And when he showed up, he was drunk. You know what I mean? So I just not having those moments. So as a father, for me, I realized providing is one thing, but also creating moments and crystallizing moments where they can identify. And when they, like now, even my son, they're both old enough now to recall certain moments and certain events. My son, like, Daddy, remember when you took us here? You remember when you took, being able to remember those moments that Daddy was there, and when I was there, not just there, but I was also present, in their lives, man. So being able to crystallize moments and create moments that they'll always have forever, and something that cannot be taken away from them, man. And so that's huge for me.
And that's important too. Even I know we say we want to be present with our children and want to be in the house with our children, but we have to be present, like you said, with our wives as well. You know, our
Absolutely.
wives, they need our time. They need our attention. They need us not just give our attention to the children, but they need us to give them, even if it's just, baby, how was your day?
Yeah.
Tell me about your day. You
Yeah.
know, what happened today? Texting them throughout the day, just like I love you, or just coming out. Like first I did when I come to the house today. You know, I just went to my wife and I say, "How? Hey, babe, how you was your day? I missed you." Kissed on the forehead. You know, they need that attention as well,
So,
and I think that's how we as men set the atmosphere and the tone of our home with our wives by showing them as much attention as we would show our children, showing them more attention than we would show other people when we get out where, you know, we can't go to like being ministers and preachers, we can't go to church and show other women at church more attention. It doesn't have to be flirtatious attention. It doesn't have to be
atten-
attention. It can be just extra attention. We can give them more attention than we do to our wives because
absolutely.
that takes because they need that we be present with them as
Yeah, yeah,
well.
yeah. I think that's important, man, and that's one thing that I've learned over the course of the years in our marriage, man, is that just like today, man, you know, just having her, you know, well, she's very DIY girl. She want to do it yourself. She likes to paint. She likes to be. She likes to do anything, you know, whatever. She wanted to work with her hand. And for me, I always pray and ask God to make me wealthy and make me a man of resources. And like she said, I have answers. So if I can't fix something, I know I find somebody who can. I'm providing answers. So she's painting the children's room. She's doing all of this, man. And while I'm in the room watching CNN, I text her and just say, you know, I appreciate you. You know, like you said, just letting her know how important her role is in the home and what she plays, and letting her know, man, that she's significant to me and she's always on my mind. And we flirt all the time, man, through text messages, you know, and you know, phone calls, FaceTime
In the house.
in the house, you know. With a nice sized house, so she may be in one sector of the house, and she'll FaceTime or we'll call each other or text each other, you know, man, just to flirt, you know, just to let her know
It's
I'm
important.
still pursuing you.
Yeah.
I'm still interested in you, still even like you,
Yeah.
you know, and yeah, I like you a lot. Yeah. And so yeah, I think that's important, man, just like you know. And so for me being a husband, man, is man, those things are significant, man. Creating memories with my wife. I mean, man, we've been fortunate and blessed. God has afforded us opportunity to travel. Ministry has taken us around the world, man.
Yes.
It has taken us around this world, around this country, and man, and being able to do that with her, man, is so major. It's so major to me, man. And I love being a husband, man. I mean,
Absolutely.
and then quite frankly, she makes it, you know, she makes it desirable. She makes you want to be a good man to a good
Yeah.
how good she is to us and good to me, and how great of a mom she is and great of a wife she is. So that makes you want to perform better for someone when they're there for you. So and she makes it easy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. My wife makes it easy too. You hear that, baby? You make it easy. So maybe what's the best part of having a husband?
Ooh, it's a lot of best parts. Let's see the best part. I always have someone there. You know what I mean? Like I always have someone who is there with me, who we truly are with one accord. And I want to correct because you're saying what's the best part of having a husband. I used to, we were just having this conversation not too long ago, and I was like, I had it all wrong because I was really trying to figure out how to be a wife when what I really needed to do was really seek God on how to be his wife. So when you ask the question,
Good.
the best part of having a husband, I don't know.
What's the best part of having him as a husband?
Yes. What's the best part of having him as my husband? I'll answer that, and then I'll come back and kind of pull back on what I believe should be some of the criteria or the things that women should look for. But the best part of having him as my husband, we are with one accord. You know, we're pursuant of the same goals, same dreams, you know, same agenda here in the earth, same, you know, mindset about raising our children, all of that. So I think that is and another major thing for me, the best part about having him as my husband, we laugh a lot.
A lot, man.
We laugh a lot. We laugh when it's supposed to be a sad moment. We crack jokes on one another.
Yeah.
We are still one another's, you know, biggest cheerleader. But we also still probably are the one that critiques the other the hardest, the worst, so to speak. So I'd say that, you know, it's so many. I mean, and then the love making, Lord, my good God,
Talk about
Jesus
that part.
of the.
This is a daytime TV.
It's daytime. No, it's nighttime. All right, well, hey, put the kids away. It's a Friday night. You shouldn't. I mean, you said what's the best part.
This is a daytime show.
I mean,
Hey, this is a marriage. This is a marriage.
I'm just joking.
But some people can't answer that question, or they can't understand the magnitude of my answer for that, because it's a big difference between having, you know, good husband love making and that single stuff. Okay, let me leave that alone.
Big difference. No, but you're right. I was talking to someone before, and I was talking to a young man that I mentor, and I was telling him, I said, when you get married, you know, don't go into marriage thinking it's going to be sex all the time, and that should not be your main goal for marriage. But it's a difference when you're married and you're having sex, and it's different than because when you're in the world, you're just hitting it just to be hitting it for that quick fix. Now, be real. You just hitting it, just hit it for that quick fix and get over it and on to the next one. And then you're not thinking that this is my partner, this is my wife, this is my love. I love her. I get to do this with her. You're just thinking, okay, let me, and next one. But when you're married and you're truly have a true marriage, it's a difference, because it's a different feelings. It's a different type of feel good than it is with the single type of feel good.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
Yeah, and I also go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, because when you're single, it's almost like a cautious, because you're like, especially guys, like, I hope I ain't get her pregnant. You know, didn't get her pregnant. You know, oh man, I hope I ain't catch nothing. Y'all, we been real nice. Hope I ain't catch nothing. Oh my God, let me go to the doctor. Let me check myself. Oh, that she got to go. But when you're married, you ain't got to worry about that.
None of that.
And that, look, which brings me to like the overall thing of to answer your question about what I believe about, you know, like what it is to have a husband. I have a covering. I believe, or you know, that's what a husband should be. Someone that can cover you, someone that, I mean, when I tell you, I know that there are attacks that have come into our house that my husband has intercepted on my behalf, our children's behalf. I know that there are things that have, you know, darts that have been thrown our way that my husband covers, you know, us in prayer and through fasting, and he's able to bombard, you know, the tricks, plots, and ploys of the enemy with the word of God. You know, so it's a plethora. I mean, it really is. It really is. I believe that any woman, you have to really know, you know, your man and what he can bring to the table, and if he can even prepare the table for you, if he can if he can build a table for you, pull the chairs up and lay out the fine dining, and he does that, and so that's why I say, what do I look at what a husband should be? One, again, back to what I said earlier, that leadership, providing security, one that covers, one that makes you laugh, one that prays with you, one that, you know, knows your needs, your wants, your desires, all of that. He is in tuned with you. He loves you just like God loves, Christ loves his bride. I mean, he takes care of your needs. He might not always give you what you want, but he can supply and take care of your needs. And I'm talking about the man in the household, the husband man in the household. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
That's good.
That's good. I love it. So how important are husband's words to his wife?
Paramount. Paramount. she just referred to Adam
Yeah.
and how his lack of speech communication, proper communication to her, caused a great fall in their household. I think it's important that a husband has to understand the words and the power of his words and the power of his voice, which brings, like she said earlier, leadership, which brings direction, which brings structure, which brings also creates a level of safety. And it also and it creates a level of calm when the man, especially the man of God, speaks in the house. And
it's like the roar of the lion. You know what I mean?
It settles everything. And it's typical. I tell men this all the time. Oftentimes, what we speak to our wives may not be properly received, is because we oftentimes speak things to them that they're not seeing in us.
That's it.
And it was interesting in Genesis chapter 17, when God comes to Abram, who we affectionately know as Abraham, but his name was Abram at first. When he had an encounter with God, God said, look here, I'm no longer going to call you Abram, I'm going to call you Abraham. Let me change you. Now, because Abram, whenever your name changed, it was an indication that it was a change in your identity and your purpose.
Absolutely.
Your name was prophetic for your life. And so whenever God tell Abram, I'm no longer going to call you Abram, let me call you Abraham, which speaks to a change in you. And then look what God does to Abraham. God speaks directly to Abraham, changes Abraham's name, and then he goes to Abraham and says, Abraham, now that I have changed you, you go speak that to your wife and tell your wife she will no longer be called Sarai, but she will now be referred to as Sarah. But notice, God didn't speak to change to Sarah. He spoke to change Abraham. And then Abraham now, because he's changed, he now has the authority to speak change in his wife. And so I think the husband words are so paramount. But here's the problem. Like I said, if a man is speaking one thing but doing another, then his speech, although it should be important, it loses its validity and it loses its potency, and it becomes adulterated because it's mixed with hypocrisy. And when it's mixed with hypocrisy, you can speak all you want, but if she doesn't see that action in you, it's never going to happen. It's so powerful. When you read the book of Numbers, and I was talking to one of my sons in ministry, one of the ministers in my church, about this in Numbers chapter 30, verses 1-8. The Bible says that God tells the men, he said, if a daughter or a wife speaks out anything or makes a vow or speaks something into the atmosphere, and if the husband or the father who is present does not override what they spoke, then if it's negative, that rests in the environment. He said, but because of the authority that God has given the man and his voice and the authority of his words, he said, if your wife or your daughter speaks something in your environment that is counteractive to what you believe or is a direct antithesis to your faith, he said, as the husband of the house, if you remain quiet, then what she spoke, it begins to manifest in your home. But if you as the husband take authority with your voice to override what your wife or your children speak, God said he takes your words and it overpowers what they say. But a husband cannot be quiet in a house where direction, clarity, and structure, and as well as safety and security is needed. It's paramount. I'm done with this. It's so paramount, even because it speaks to the relationship that Christ has with his wife. Look here. The Bible says in the end, everything is going to be burned up. But Jesus said the only thing that will remain is my word. And so, in other words, we live off his word. We are his bride. the most important thing he gave us was his word. He
That's
left
good.
his word with us. He said, because if my bride is going to live any kind of successful life, she has to hinge on every word that comes out of our mouth. And so as a husband, I think it's important that we learn how to quickly mature our character, so that our words and our speech won't be questioned by the woman who needs our words. Because like Christ's bride, the only thing that she lives by is his word.
And then I love that, but you can also take it when you got one of those, a husband that's verbally abusive to his wife, and you can see that she stays there, but it diminishes her character because his words, and for all the years she's in there, his words has diminished her, and it's following her. The way he's speaking over her and speaking to her, it's in her spirit, and she doesn't have the power or the will to speak against that. My wife and I do something like whenever she says something or I say something, we ask each other, so is that your confession?
Yeah.
If that's your confession, then I'm in agreement with you. You know, so but then that makes us change what we say. You know, and I tell her, if that's not gonna be a confession. Is that your confession? And when I ask her that, is that your confession? Then she'll be like, no, it's not. And she'll change what she's saying, because I like how you said we have to speak our words. I was studying when I first started this, and you know how they say the wife makes the house a home?
Yeah.
It's not really the wife, it's the words of the husband that makes the house a home. The father's words, the husband's words sets the tone for the house. And the wife, they come in, they put the pictures up, they put the flowers, the paintings, they make it, you know, they put your touch on, but our words set the tone of our home. And if I came in the house every day yelling at Keisha, she might knock me upside the head. But you know, but I came in the house yelling at Keisha all the time, then my house is gonna be a house of anger and a house of turmoil. But because I come in and I tell the first thing I say is I love you, I missed you, and I speak those words of love, it sets the atmosphere in my home.
Yeah.
I love how I said. So Mimi, you're the wife. How important are his words to you?
Oh, everything. And I just to add to, which I thought that was excellent, but just to add to, you know, what the both of you guys were stating, I know that as much as men have, the majority are limited in their verbiage. They're not going to be very talkative. It's not always, you know, they're not always talking. But when you guys do, what we do as women, when you speak words, especially, and they have some level of meaning, even the bad ones, but when you speak the positive ones, we incubate that. We are true incubators. We take what you say and then we try to see how we can develop what you said. Now, if you spoke something negative, you said, you know, you'll never be nothing, I'm going to incubate that as well. Yeah. But if you said, hey, I have a vision, I have a dream, then we are the accessories to what your words are. We want to make that happen for you. We want to make sure that we provide exactly what you're saying. And I believe that whenever those words are given, we as women, we're emotional. We really are emotional. We're led by emotion. We are led by that. And I don't think that takes anything away from us as women. I believe that that's why men are logical and women are emotional. But in that, if we did not have the word of man, if we did not have the words of our husband, I believe we'd be all over the place. Yeah. I believe we would be all over the place. But it's that word. And I live in a house with multiple people. My mom is here, my brother is here, my children are here. And I can be in the house, do this, sit this, go get that, I mean, all day, move this, can you bring that bread, sit, move that, place that over there. And I could have said it 50 times. As soon as that voice of my husband is spoken, it's like the whole house calms. And so, and I believe that is so necessary for, you know, men to know their voice, to know the words that they speak, like those words are life. we listen to that, we hear that, we pull those words into ourselves, and then we provide structure to what you spoke.
That's good.
You know, you may have the, you know, the overall picture, but we do the framing. We do the, we put it all together, and that helps for us to be even more successful. That helps for us to be successful.
That's
you know,
good.
Yeah, it does. And so it's necessary. And it's not, I'd say to any woman, it's not a want, it's a need. The words of her husband is necessary. Talk to me, tell me what you desire. Tell me what can I accomplish for you. Tell me what the vision is for our household. Tell me. That same thing just wants to fall today.
It's all good. You guys good. Your light is good.
Tell me what it is that you want, so I can make it happen for you. And it gives is you know, when you're in this thing for real, it brings women great pleasure to be able to incubate your words and make it become you know, life for you. You know.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I love it. So what does it mean to be faithful?
I say it like this. I think faithfulness has to do. Don't allow your feelings to dictate your fidelity.
Yep.
I think what causes us to be unfaithful in the physical, also emotionally, is we people get in their feelings so much. And I think in marriage and relationships, I think being faithful has everything to do with getting a hinge and taking control of your feelings. I know there's been times where when I've been unfaithful to my wife in multiple areas, and not just, I ain't talking about physical, but I'm talking about where I hadn't been the man that she needed to be. It was always when I got in my feelings. If I got in my feelings, then I would say stuff like, well, she don't care. I ain't, you know, she don't care. Why should I care? And my feelings caused me to renege on my fidelity toward my wife. And I'm saying, man, so I think being faithful has everything to do if as a man, if you can take control of your emotions and your feelings and not be moved by your feelings, then, you know, being faithful is something that you take pride in. You take pride in. And I think being faithful has everything to do with a man taking pride in who you are as a man, making sure that your wife knows that security is number one to her and to your marriage, knowing that nobody else, no other woman has the potential to creep into a space that belongs to her. For her to realize and know this, that whatever you do, you're doing everything in your power to divorce proof and affair proof your marriage, knowing that no other woman has the same like you said earlier, get the same amount of attention or has the same amount of access to you that she does. And I think those things keep you in a place where she feels your fidelity and your faithfulness, and that makes her more willing to open up and be more vulnerable to you, because she knows that the only person who has your heart in her mind, your mind and your eyes is her. So I think faithfulness means everything in marriage. And I think the most important thing that it does is that your faithfulness and your fidelity, it becomes a glue to your marriage, because it heightens the security in your wife. And once the security is heightened in your wife, then success is inevitable in your marriage.
I love it. So before we go to Mimi, I want to ask a question. So for the guy out there who doesn't understand, I love what you said about controlling your emotions. And for the guy out there, so of course we know, I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Baby, I love you. Before we go, I'm just joking. I was making a joke because my wife is watching. But we know women know what buttons to push. Okay. They know what buttons to push. So how does a man who doesn't know how to control his emotions control it without getting in his feelings? Okay. How do you keep getting feeling? When she pushed that button, how does he keep from getting in his feelings and feeling like you said that, well, if she don't care, I don't care, or like get that getting in his feeling? How does a man control that?
He controls that. And see, like the moments in time where I got in my feelings, it was due to my distance from God.
That's it.
Okay. Oh, it's good.
Whenever I was defeated in my devotion, I was defeated in being able to control my feelings and my emotions. Because see, God is the one. See, without God, your emotions are never. You can't control your emotions.
Yeah.
You can't control. You may suppress them, but eventually they're going to come out. And some people can be emotional without expression. Just because I'm not punching a wall does not mean I'm not an angry person. And because I may not say nothing, but my anger makes me treat you nasty by not saying nothing to you, or by me going into another room, or me leaving to go hang out all night. Now I'm doing that because I'm angry, so my emotion is leading me to do that, but I'm not displaying it in a violent way. And so whenever because at the end of the day, Nate, we tell everybody this, and because we're Bible people, so this is the only thing we believe in. At the end of the day, what causes a man to be unfaithful and cheat on his wife, especially physically, has nothing to do with anything else. But this is what the Bible says in Proverbs 6:32. The only cause for divorce, the only cause for infidelity in a marriage is ignorance. This is Proverbs 6:32. It says, when a man lacks understanding, he commits adultery. So the number one cause for adultery and unfaithfulness, in a marriage, is because if a man is disconnected from God, notice understanding comes from God. If he's disconnected from God, he's going to be disconnected from his wife.
Absolutely.
That's good.
And all that has to do because of a man that's disconnected from God is a man who's led by his emotion. Because number one, maybe he don't feel like it. Maybe he done been hurt. Maybe he done have church hurt. Maybe somebody done betrayed him. So now going to God is not at the top of his list. And whenever you disconnect from God, you disconnect from your wife.
Absolutely.
That's good. I love it. I love it. So, BB, what does it mean to be faithful? I got to hear yours.
I think when I hear faithful, I don't automatically think about infidelity. I think about, what it means to be faithful to me is you keep your word. You know what I mean? I believe that people can be unfaithful in many areas. Going back to what we were just saying earlier, if you tell me that you're going to provide a stable household for me, but yet you do everything opposite of that, that's unfaithful to me.
That's good.
If you tell me that we're gonna save X amount of dollars in our but yet you have a humongous spending habit.
That's good.
That's unfaithful to me. For you to tell me you're gonna lead me and give me guidance and structure, but yet you're all over the place. You're chaotic. You know what I mean? You have no balance. You have, you're out of order. That's unfaithful to me. And I believe that is what causes for, if you say one thing, you took a vow for better or for worse, but when it get worse, you get worse. You get worse or
Worse or
worse or I mean, you know what I mean? So I believe that a lot of things lead to, what infidelity looks like. But I believe as it relates to being faithful, if we're in this thing, you're faithful, you're committed to your words, you're committed to what you're saying, and your actions line up with that. Your actions aren't completely different from what you said. And I think that is most times what causes a lot of problems, in a household, because it's like, I'm confused. You said one thing, but you're doing another. So which one you want me to follow, the words or the actions? And so, but that's, to me, is what unfaithful looks like.
That's good, man.
Good.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, man, that's some good stuff, guys. What's a marriage success tip?
This is one I handed on. She know it. This is mine. at the end of the day, and that is this: that that remember that marriage is about purpose and not pleasure or preference.
Yeah.
Because
so you got to break that down. So I can't have no pleasure. You mean to tell me?
As soon as people can wrap their minds around God, the primary reason God brought Eve into Adam's life was for purpose, not just for pleasure. It wasn't about them enjoying their life. It was about for them fulfilling the purpose that God placed them in the garden. God gave them a purpose and said, you know what? You can't do this by yourself. Let me give you somebody to help you with what? Help you with your purpose. Yeah. And as soon as we forget that marriage is about purpose, and see, when people forget that marriage is about purpose, they say stuff like this: we grew apart. That's crazy. Say stuff like this: well, I fell out of love with them. That's crazy. I no longer love you. Yeah. See, because that's one. If it's about purpose, then your preference don't mean nothing. Who cares? Good. Who cares about if you no longer feel like you love me no more? Yeah. That's a preference of yours. That's not a requirement for purpose, because a requirement for purpose is not how you feel. Because God could care less about how you feel. And just like you just said earlier, prior to us coming on, you said the pros and cons of you working in the same building with which you stay. You can't make an excuse now not to go to work.
You're right.
So regardless of how you feel, you have a purpose to do at work. Yeah. And regardless of how you feel, you got to perform that task. Yeah. And sometimes you do that sick. Sometimes you do that with it. Do that angry, sometimes you do it with an attitude, sometimes you do that in the middle of a crisis, sometimes you do that in the middle of trauma, in the middle of grief. You still have a purpose to fulfill. Absolutely. And your feelings cannot override your purpose. And I think in marriage is what people do is that they forget about purpose. Yeah. And now it's about my preference. Well, you don't do this for me. So if you can't give me this, I ain't gonna do that. So regardless of, just like I was telling one brother the other day, regardless of you being if you're a wife, if you're a husband, I don't care what your wife or your husband does not provide for you. Right. You still are required by God to do what a husband is supposed to do and what a wife is supposed to do, not based on if you get what you want or not. Your preference does not override the purpose for which a marriage is all about. So that's my success tip. If you go into marriage looking at it as purpose, then your preferences would never cause you to walk away from your purpose.
Love it. That's good. Mimi.
Right? I'm like, how you want me to come behind that?
Yeah, right. Yeah. All right, Mimi. How you gonna follow that up?
You'd be so deep and scholarly. I'm like, wait, I don't have an answer after that.
Chatabo.
She got it.
Oh God, a marriage success tip. I would say, know who you are in that role of purpose.
That's good.
Know who you are. I cannot be the husband, perform the husband duties, or be angry with him about the way he performs. We were talking about if you're doing all the other aforementioned things, that we spoke on earlier. But I mean, as I believe a great tip is know who you are. Know what you bring to the table. And I know women look at it like, okay, so it's a role. No, I mean, baby, know the position that you're in and how important it is to the household. Know that it takes the leader. Know that it takes the accessory. Know that it takes, you know what I mean? Like, know what you bring to the table. Where one is lacking, you fill the void, and vice versa. Yeah. Know that if he's strengthened in one area, you don't need your strength to usurp that strength. That's pick up. How can I make sure that we're not both off at the same time? We can both be on at the same time, but we can't both.
That's good.
Yeah.
We both be off at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, know that. And I mean, and really embrace that. Really how can I make, we have a saying that we do, how can I wake up today and make your day better? You know your role in that moment, know the position you need to play in that moment within the marriage.
Yeah.
If we off and it's just where our faith may be, all over the place. Well, hold up, know that role. Let me jump in this thing and okay, so listen, let me speak that part that's kind of, dim over here in your life. It's a lot of tips I'd give. Another tip another tip I'd give is, don't try to compete with your spouse.
That's good. That's excellent.
That's a good one.
Do not try to compete. You prophesy, I prophesy better. You know what I mean? You vacuum, nah, bro, I vacuum better. Yeah. Now I can do, do not try to, there is no competition.
That's good.
In marriage. And I believe that is you're unable, or in any relationship, if both of our lights are shining and we're trying to outshine, the other, you don't really, then you let other people see the areas where it's dim. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You have to make sure that it's like, hold up, you on high beam, let me go low beam right now. Let me let you have the moment in which God is doing the things he's doing within you. And I'm not just talking about preaching and speaking and things of that nature.
Right.
I'm talking about, just hold up. Even in the household, if God has given, the man a strategy, okay, let's walk in that. But and not be, no, but I think it should be that. Or just because you want to feel significant. Going back to, you got to know your role. You have to know your purpose. So if I know that I won't, or he will not compete with the spouse. I believe there's too much competition amongst husbands and wives today. And I believe that leads to a lot of very unhappy homes. Yeah. I believe it leads to a lot of, divorces.
Yeah. And and just to go back to the, and piggyback on what she said, I think the divorce rate, unfortunately, is as high as among Christians as it is in the world. And that is because we don't know our roles and we don't understand the reason why we're in this thing. Yeah. And when we make it about purpose, it's kind of like, just think about this, Nate. Think about Hosea and Gomer. Think about Hosea and Gomer. Hosea is the prophet of God. God tells Hosea, look, I want you to go marry Gomer, but you're marrying her for a purpose. Mm-hmm. Okay. And here's the purpose for which you're marrying Gomer. You're marrying her because I want to show my people how they treat me. That's the only reason why you're marrying her. So here it is. So Hosea is a prophet of God. He's a man of God. God tells him to go down to the Shake It Club, right? Go down to Magic City. Go down.
Red Bottoms of Jerusalem.
Yeah. I want you to go down there, find that girl on the pole, bring her home, marry her. Yeah. Now Hosea. Now he ain't feeling that, but God said, I don't care how you feel. This thing is about purpose. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So God said, go get her. He goes home. He brings her home, clean her up. Takes her to Target to buy some new clothes, gets her hair done. Let Dr. Look, and then she comes home, gets pregnant by Hosea, has a son. After she has a son, she relapses. She goes back to the club, and then now, not only does she go back to the club and shake it, she finds another man, have sex with him, have a baby by this other man, and Hosea will say, I'm done with that. You know what God says? No. Go back and get her. So Hosea had to go back and get her. But watch this. This time, chapter 3 of Hosea, when he goes back to get her, God says, I want you to now pay money to get your own wife back. Yeah. So in other words, he says, because if this thing is about purpose, you're going to have to always be willing to invest in your spouse. Yeah. And sometimes that investing in your spouse, you have to invest in your spouse even when they're not at their best. Even when they're not at their best, because it's about purpose, it's not how you feel. Because oftentimes whenever we get in relationships and marriages, and when the spouse starts to go south, the one who's not going south with them end up leaving them south and not willing to do whatever it takes in order to bring them back.
Yeah.
So when I say about purpose and not preference, because it was not Hosea's preference to marry a prostitute.
Yeah.
But it was God's purpose for him to marry a prostitute. And whenever this thing is about purpose, then you perform your purpose regardless of what they provide. This is Romans 5 and 8. We just celebrated Easter. This is Romans 5 and 8. This is what this is the curtain rod that all of the curtain of Christianity hangs on. Romans 5, 7 and 8. It said, while we were yet sinners, Christ died for the ungodly. Watch this. He died for us when we could not do anything back for him.
Yeah.
So he said, look here, I'm going to give my life for you, although I know there's nothing you can pay me back. No. You can't, there is no amount of money or anything you can do to repay me for what I've done for you. But what I did for you was my purpose to do it for you.
Yes.
And I didn't do it because I wanted you to give me something back. And in marriages, if we understand this about purpose, then that means even when our spouse is not giving us or providing us what we think they should provide, it does not stop you from providing what you have the power to provide.
And then we got to look at it like this too. When we're married, we're one. So are you going to stop doing for yourself?
Yeah. Well,
when you don't give yourself something.
But people don't look at it like we won.
Right.
Like, because if we won, then they're like, why are you over there?
Yeah. But it goes back to like what Mimi said a minute ago about the competition. I believe, and one of my mentors will always say, when you're in a marriage, when you win, you lose.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like you're competing with yourself. If I'm trying to be better than Keisha, then if I win against her, I'm actually losing, because if she lose, I lose because of one. And it's crazy to try to compete with your spouse, man. This is so good. So one last thing before we go, Eric, what I always do is I give the husbands, the men, the opportunity at the end of this to just speak to other husbands out there, speak to other men, single men that want to be husbands, and husbands out there, men that may have been divorced, men, just husbands now, just however you want to do it. If you want to pray for them, if you want to prophesy, if you want to just give them a couple nuggets of wisdom for like just the next 60 seconds, just speak to the men.
I give 5 things to tell every man this. I think this will set you up for success in your marriage. We talked about this last night. You always go back to the law. First mention, primary reference. The first time you see something in the Bible, that's the essence of it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like with the first place we see marriage in the Bible is in the book of Genesis, when God first instituted marriage. So if a man is going to be successful as marriage, he needs 5 things. And I tell every man this: number one, he has to have a spiritual father. And when I say a spiritual father, that's not necessarily God. Adam had God as a spiritual father. God is a father, but we need a spiritual father in the earth realm. Mm-hmm. Number 2, Adam had God. Adam had a relationship with God. I think that's important. We have too many husbands who are not in tune with God. Yeah. I mean, they may be in church and they may be religious, but they don't have a relationship with God. Adam walked with God every day in the cool of the day. He had a relationship with God. Number 3, Adam had an assignment. He had purpose. And we have too many brothers who are getting married who don't have no purpose. They have a job, but always remember this: your job and your career is not your assignment. It's not your purpose. Now, God can utilize what you do in your profession to help you fulfill your purpose, but your profession is not your purpose. So for instance, if I play NBA basketball, that may be a passion of mine, but that's not your purpose. Yeah. Your purpose is not to play basketball. Your purpose is to use your career to help fulfill your purpose. Yeah. For instance, when Jesus comes to Peter, they're on the boat fishing. Jesus said, listen what he says to Peter. He said, let me use your boat. That was Peter's profession. He said, so what you do for a profession, let me use it to fulfill purpose. Let me use your boat. Let me use what you do as a profession to fulfill purpose. And so Adam had an assignment. And number 3, Adam had a job. Number 4, Adam had a job. Number 4, Adam had a job. Now, what that mean? So even if you meet a man, he don't have a job, but you know he has the potential to work. But Adam had a job. And number 5, Adam had somewhere to take his wife. He has somewhere to live. He has somewhere to live. And I think it's important and it's imperative for a man that even if you want to get married, have somewhere to go. I mean, even if you have an apartment, she has a house, some of y'all, you both need to come together and figure out what we're going to do together. Don't just go to her house. No, I'm the man. Maybe that's where you stayed before you got with me. I stayed here, but let's make a decision that where we're going to live. I think it's important that a man has to have a spiritual father, a relationship with God, has an assignment, has a job, and has somewhere to take his family whenever he gets married. I think that's important. And if a man can get those 5 things, in his life before he says I do, I think he sets a good framework and a platform for some semblance of success in his marriage.
I agree.
Man, I love it. Hey, I want to do later down the road, I want to do a live just talking about those 5 things.
Wow.
Excellent.
Wow.
I think that'll be great to do a live just talking about those 5 things just to men. And we're going to do that later, probably in a couple months, summertime, something like that. If you're willing to do that,
Cool.
I want to do that. Guys, I appreciate you guys for coming on. Guys, I appreciate all you guys that have been watching. I'm seeing the love that you got. It's funny. I see a couple of angry emojis. Well, if you're mad, you're mad. I'm sorry. It's true.
They're probably mad because we're getting off.
Yeah, that's right.
But guys, so tell everybody where to find you. I know we're not in physical church right now, but tell them where to find you, with your website, how they can see your tell them about your brownie points, get everybody, guys, check out their brownie points. Just don't say nothing about that's disagreeing with Mimi, because she will call you out on the brownie points. She's done it to me several times. But you guys, tell them where to find you guys.
Hey, but you better know I always do it in love. Listen,
Right.
We appreciate you.
She told one night, said, Nate, go to bed.
We appreciate the both of you guys, though. But you can find my information on Mimi Brown or Dr. Mimi Brown that's both of my social media handles. Dr. Eric L. Brown. And that's both of yours as well.
Yeah, that's on
Instagram and on Facebook.
Yeah.
And then the best way to get information about us is Brownie Points, Brownie Points Talk .com. BrowniePointsTalk.com. You can inbox us there. You can email us there. You can sign up to be a part of all of the great things that we have going on. We're really in a phase right now. We're using this quarantine time to completely rebrand and restructure everything. So we pulled everything under one hub, and Brownie Points Talk is it. So that's the best place to find us. And we're open book. We love to discuss everything, marriage, couples, all of that. There's no topic we will shy away from.
Yeah.
So we look forward to connecting with you guys.
So BrowniePointsTalk.com, also Brownie Points Talk Facebook page.
Yes.
And just to encourage people, we are, we've been married almost 20 years. I've been preaching 22 years.
Yeah.
And we've been in ministry together for 20 years.
Yeah.
And then also we are licensed counselors.
Yes.
So we're licensed by the state of Texas as counselors. So we don't just give information off the top of our head. I tell people we have had the opportunity of academia. We have doctorate degrees in seminary, and also we are licensed as counselors, so we can deal with everything from a biblical perspective, from a counselor perspective. We offer all of that. So and then we have experience as a married couple. Absolutely. And as pastors 15 years. And so you're not just getting novice or anybody who's just coming off the head with just foolishness, but we have experience along with academia and training to offer people who connect with us.
Okay, guys, so you've heard it. Brownie Talks, Jennifer Woods has put it up for you guys. BrowniePointsTalk.com. Go there, follow them, guys. You won't be disappointed. Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.
We got another interview next week. Monday. We got this thing worked out. So Monday, we're going to be back on Monday for all you guys that are watching. I appreciate you. If you guys want to follow us and want to see this interview again, go to kingdomrelationships.org, our website, or you can go to our YouTube channel, Kingdom Relationships, our Facebook page, Kingdom Relationships. If you have any questions or you have something you want to talk about, or anybody you want us to bring back on again, just email us at hello@kingdomrelationships.org. And if you have any questions or anything, my wife and I are there to help. I'm going to have my wife on one of these nights with me, so we can all talk too. But guys, thank you for watching. Mimi, Eric, thank you guys. Appreciate it. Guys, until next week, be victorious.
Thank you. Bye-bye.